I'm seeing if this works. Okay.
No sweat. Um, we use for flagrant ones live streams. We just do the Zoom webinar that you like have to pay extra for, and then for Carl, he does OBS and just streams straight to an unlisted YouTube link. Um, when I did Twitch stuff, I did mostly OBS and liked that. I had success with that, but um if it's not really like tech heavy, sometimes you can just do Zoom and just share stuff that way. I don't know. What do you guys do? Or
That's
and
what we
then
do.
for Carl, he
Um,
does
yeah,
the
every
he
now and then
does
we do
OBS and
like a
just streams
Patreon
straight
specific
to
thing
an
where it's like a live uh like
All right. Welcome everybody to the stream. I think we got it going now. Oh, and I should mute the one that's in my screen. But yeah, welcome everybody to the Hollywood Handbook, semi-official, not really official, watch along from across the pond. We're doing this thing because we have a few people in the Discord that are talking about how, because they're from the UK, like they're not able to tune into the stream live for Dynasty Typewriter, and we decided that we would throw this event together to offer that to anyone who's working or just lives elsewhere. I'm going to be hosting this thing. I'm Brad LeBaron, and to help me out with this thing, I also have George Seffler from the Best Little Horror Pod in Philly, which our guest has been on. You might know our guest from all of these podcasts that you love so very, very much. Welcome, everybody. Chef Kevin to the live stream.
Hi guys, thanks for having me at the live stream. Honored to be here for the watch along of another live stream.
Thanks for coming on. Like, you just saw this like 24 hours ago or less, but
I might be kind of loopy because we recorded the flagrant ones an hour before the show and then went straight to the show, did the show, and then I drove home and then edited the flagrant ones.
Oh my god!
After that, and then I had a meeting in the morning, so I'm kind of running on fumes a little bit. But hey, sometimes that's where the best comedy comes, baby.
Then after this, are you going to finally rest, or like, do you have?
I mean, I'm drinking coffee, which I probably shouldn't be, but
no, that classically makes you go to sleep, right?
I'm going to drink this big cup of coffee and then pass out, not have fucked up dreams at all.
Well, you've earned it, Chef
Thanks,
Kevin. You do a lot of hard work, and we're really excited to do the Q&A with you afterward. We also have a best episode bracket that is currently
it's been fun to watch.
Hot contention right now. I think that we might be at a tie still.
Wow. Talk about drama.
No. 95 for Mask Engineer, 94 for Big Apple Bible.
Wow.
Yeah. It's been like just one to one the entire time.
Chaos.
So if you're out there, you love Hollywood Handbook, you want to vote, you still can vote all the way up until we decide that it's
That's
over.
right. Democracy dies in darkness. So
yeah, on this stream actually. So we have that all planned into our event today. And we hope that you will stick around the whole time. By the way, I should clarify something. When I was posting about this, some people were under the impression that I was maybe pirating the Dynasty typewriter thing, and I was going to stream the actual footage here. That is not what is happening right now. Just so you know, you do have to have purchased a ticket on Dynasty Typewriter's website in order to get access to the link. But the link should be below to that. So if you do have access to that through Dynasty Typewriter, you should be able to get right in. And I have it, I think, going to like the green arrows right before the feature presentation starts. I promise that's not an Illuminati thing.
I was worried.
Yeah, no, I know. I felt like I should clarify.
You're watching a different stream than us, dude.
About no. I think my YouTube algorithm might be messed up or
it's the algorithm.
Yeah. I'm gonna blame it on the algorithm. But we got it's about an hour 15 though. If you're looking forward to see what kind of time you have to devote to this. If you're on your lunch break, and it's longer than an hour or less than an hour 15, you're not going to catch the whole thing. But we're gonna try. So we're gonna do this very old fashioned. This is gonna be, I don't know how this. Streaming, watching together works without delay. So I think the best thing that we decided we were going to do is just count down. Everyone can press play on their own thing, and then we'll leave from this scene and go watch this thing together, and we'll be back afterwards. So don't worry.
Afterwards with a fun Q&A and everything.
There's more stuff.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great time.
Yeah. It's going to be a great time.
For the time code, if you're watching on the YouTube link, is that 1420 for you?
Wow.
I believe
1420.
So. Let me find.
Wow. 1420. Blaze up, listeners.
Oh, yeah, baby. Once we turn off the cameras, you guys we'll go into chat.
Wait, we should land on the exact time code that we're at though.
I think.
Oh yeah, well it is.
1929 is feature presentation.
Yes, there it is.
19th,
Other
yeah,
arrows.
yeah. So,
19
and we're also leaving like a few minutes of wiggle room. So like it'll be more like we'll be away more like an hour 20. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So sit tight, guys. I have a few like waiting screens that I've whipped up on this video thing, and yeah, it'll be great. Are you guys ready to count down? Is everybody ready to count
I'm
down?
ready.
Absolutely.
All right. Then on the count of or 3, 2, 1, go, or 3,
3,
2,
2,
1.
1,
What do
go.
you guys
3,
think?
2, 1, go is a classic.
3, 2, 1, go. Okay. All right. Well then, yeah. Let's see if I can do this properly. 3. Is everybody ready? Sorry. Is everybody
Yep.
ready out there? Is everybody
Yeah.
ready? All right. 3, 2, 1. I think we're back. Yeah, we're back. Welcome back,
We're
everybody,
back.
to the stream. That was fun.
That was great.
I know that Kevin, you're probably going to be trying to get out of here pretty quick, so we will leave it. We will try to keep this quick for you. But before we get out of here, we got to get through these questions. We have people are just destroying the chat with questions. I don't know if we're going to be able to get to all of them, but we're that's what we're here for. We're going to do it. Oh yeah, also the poll's still going. The poll is still going strong. Yeah. A little update for after the stream. The poll is at 98 Mass Engineer, 96 Big Apple Bible.
That's
so
wild.
if you are viewing this right now and you are a Big Apple Bible fan, you need to get your votes in right now. And if you're a Mass Engineer fan, that's also true. But I'm biased. I think you know which one I voted for. Yeah, it was. By the way, this was a lot of fun putting together the bracket, and I listened to a lot of old episodes. A lot of people were sharing like memories from their favorite episodes and things. So yeah, thanks for everyone for participating in the bracket, and let's start with these questions for Chef Kevin. First of all, do you know? It didn't look like they were sipping on much on stage. Was there anything that was actually being sipped on?
Yeah, there were some energy drinks backstage that the guys were interested in trying before the show. I think it was like ANUI or something. It's a blue can, or ANI, and something like that. Yeah, so they both had those before the show, and then after the show, they had a Liquid Death. And I had a Modelo during the whole show.
Nice. Get kind of toasted.
Yeah, got blitzed in the green room.
Dude, everyone knows.
Yeah.
That one Modelo will send you.
Yep, that's all it takes.
Yeah. Modelo is a heavy beer.
Everyone knows. Everyone knows.
Famous heavy beer.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, look, we got a question that's just coming in through the pipeline from Steven Johnson, and I'm just going to keep him kind of going as we're talking here. So Steven Johnson asks, Kevin, what favorite Dark Horse episode? What's your favorite Dark Horse episode that you'd bump to the top of the bracket that was not involved in this bracket? Maybe.
That's a great question.
Now, I can list off who is all in the bracket if you need a refresher.
I have a controversial one that is always not even controversial, but some people were so baffled by it, and to me it was one of my favorites. The Harvey Guillen episode, he was so committed to not enjoying himself. He was awesome on and off mic too. It was super nice and cool. And before we started, he was like, asking about the show and stuff, and was like, is this kind of like a Eric Andre Between Two Ferns kind of thing? And we're like, it's just like Sean and Hayes were like, we kind of play these like heightened dumb versions of ourselves, but if you want to, some people like play along with it, some people are like, I don't really want to be here. And he kind of laughed and was like, all right, great. And for context, his publicist for What We Do in the Shadows was also on the Zoom, just on mute, and their camera was off. And I always hate when, I understand like they want to make sure it's going smoothly and stuff, but it's just kind of like changes the vibe a little bit when it's like there's people watching.
There's just another entity.
Because sometimes, like, not recently, but like every now and then they'll email me and be like, can you cut out this or that? And it's like, it's never a thing that's worth cutting out either. It's like, okay. And because it's like they don't understand the show. They have no idea like what's going on, so they're kind of confused. But that hasn't really happened in maybe since then. It used to happen a lot more. Less with Handbook and more like other shows where publicists would be like, can I hop? Like when I work on Andy Richter's podcast, a lot of publicists would like sit in the Zooms. And Harvey's publicist was on this one, and he was just so like committed to like, it was before we did video too, which is such a bummer because he would just put his hands in his face the whole time and just like he'd be rolling his eyes, look at his watch, like start like fake texting and stuff. And then eventually and so the running bit was he kept pretending like that publicist was in the room with him. And he'd be like, sorry, 1 second.
Yeah.
How long do I have to be here? Like, is this it's a full hour? Okay, is there any way we can cut? Sorry, guys. And then he would come back to us. And then the highlight to me was he pretended like he was having computer issues. I don't remember what it was exactly, but he closes his laptop. And like when he closes his laptop, he leaves the Zoom. And the publicist also left the Zoom, which to me was almost funnier than that he left it too. Like I was like, was the publicist thinking like, okay, this is over? And so
it's real.
Yeah. So we're both, the three of us are just sitting there like in kind of in shock and amazement. Like, that's so cool. Like no one has ever done that before. And then he rejoins the Zoom and pretends like he's still talking to that publicist and is like, I don't want to come back though. Like, I don't want to keep talking to these guys. And then Hayes is like, Harvey, we can hear you. We can hear you. And he was like, oh, hi guys. Sorry about that. So weird, right? And there were so many people when we posted that episode that was like, oh my God, he hates this. This is going horribly. Like, he's being such a bad guest. And to me, it was always one of my favorites because he was so invested in it, like in a way that like if someone like if Adam Pally does it, like he's on the show so many times, people know that he's like fucking around. First time,
it does get intense. But
for like a first time guest who's like a known actor to be like fully committed to like, I hate this, I don't want to be here, and then to leave the Zoom and then come back to the point where his publicist thought it was over as well was so. It's an episode I always love thinking back about, especially because so many people were like, I can't believe how bad this is going.
Well, I had to listen to that one a few times before I like was finally like, you know what, he was in on the bit for sure. But like the first listen, I was definitely like, I don't know.
That's why
like,
I love
he's
that
doing a really good job.
I think for the most part, video really helps with that stuff because the three of us could see he was like doing so much nonverbal stuff too that like we couldn't call out without like kind of breaking the fourth wall of like, okay, he is looking out the window right now. He is like nowhere near the microphone. Or like maybe they kind of did, but like he was just so like physically invested in like not wanting to be there.
That rules.
Yeah.
And it did. There were times where it was like, is he actually like not? Even the three of us at times were.
He's a great actor.
Yeah, he's a great actor, and it was like, I would love for him to come back, but that whole like facade that he made, I'm like, I almost don't want him to come back because I love the idea of that being his only episode.
The kind of mythos.
Yeah, exactly.
What a legacy.
It at that, even though it was so fun and funny.
That was happening when Sona got on a few times the first couple times. Yeah.
I was going to ask, like, you talked about having to front porch it a little bit with him coming on and be like, so here's sort of the idea of it. Do you find that when newcomers to the show, that do they want to sort of structure things out a little more, or is it people who have been on multiple times that come back with ideas or something for like, oh, I want to do it this way?
It's it kind of depends on like. Comedians can be kind of tough because like I think they kind of sometimes just want to like do their material. It's not really an issue we have as much now because we try to like like you said, like we try to like front porch it and be like, okay, so this is what the show is like. I think sometimes people are so like thrown off. I mean, like the Kurt Vile episode where he was like, why are they making fun of my lyrics? Like, this is my music. Even though I'm sure it was like explained to him, I think he still was kind of like baffled by it.
Right.
I think sometimes people are just kind of like, there have been times where like we do like an entire episode and then we say bye and then the guest goes, okay, now I get it. And it's like, yeah, it makes sense. But we told Lisa
Yeah.
yesterday, like most of the guests after they do the show ask, like, is that what you wanted? Like, was that it? And the answer is always
Was
yes.
that?
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, we try to like, if they're like an improviser, like we're not really stressed at all. Like, when we had
Yeah.
Two Old Queens on like 2 weeks ago, it was just like they'll get it. They're
Yeah.
pros. Like,
Yeah. Two old
um,
pros.
yes, exactly.
Two old
And
pros.
so we didn't really like we're gonna kind of do this or that, and they were just like, cool, we'll roll with it. But sometimes like
Yeah.
people that are higher up like might need a little more. There's like this kind of sweet spot because
Yeah.
if you're too high up, it's just not worth wasting your time. Like we'll just kind of roughly say like we'll do this, and we'll kind of do like a lighter version of the show for them. But
Mm-hmm.
there's kind of this, middle ground sometimes where we want to explain it, but not over explain it and like get them in their head. But
Right.
we'd also don't want to like
Yeah.
leave people like high and dry where they're just like, especially if it's like an actor or like comedian that has like no understanding of the show. Like we don't want them to
Yeah.
be like too confused because like they might just be like quiet and just go like, okay, yeah, and then
Yeah.
like only have one word answers.
Right. They're like, why are these guys being
Yeah.
such assholes?
Yeah. So I definitely like when
Yeah.
I email people, I'll say like they play
Yeah.
heightened versions of themselves, and we try to like
Yeah.
let people know like, some of this is like obviously you'll see is like we're talking about real stuff and it's like a funny version of it. Some of it is like extremely abstract, like not applicable advice in any way kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
sometimes I'll try to like not often, but like sometimes I will send like if you want to hear an episode, here's one that I think like might be good for you to listen to.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll like try to like, okay, I know this person is friends with that person. I'll send them their friends episode and they'll get it.
Right.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you do
Yeah,
curate it, or is there one where you're like, this is the go-to to sum up what the show is?
Some people, I try to curate it whenever possible. There's like, Lisa's episode that she just did with all the commercials is probably a good one to start sending to people because it's a very like you can really see like just the flow of like we're going to discuss your commercials.
Uh-huh.
And
Right.
she's super funny and it feels kind
Yeah.
of like I think anyone could kind of get it. I used to send a couple years ago the Kenny the Jet Smith one where we would watch a scene in a movie and then he would like finish the script. And just because that was one where it was like, how do we make this like as easy as possible? Because we're not trying to like baffle people.
Right.
And he
Yeah.
was super funny on it too. So normally I'll try to curate it, but often I'm just like, hey, here's the show. Let us know if you're interested. If it's a musician,
Yeah.
I'll send like the King Gizzard episode or like Japanese
Oh,
breakfast
yeah.
episode. But it is a hard show to like pitch.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to pitch to my
Totally.
friends to listen to, like I have the deeply alienating T-shirt.
yeah.
Like the second that one dropped, I was like, I need that, and like every time I wear it, I like wonder what people are thinking about me, and when I'm walking around, what message am I trying to send?
It's and that's like part of like the for us is like the charm of it is like that it's always kind of been this like, oh, it's hard to get thing of like it takes the joke of it takes 15 episodes. So I think that's like there's a world where they could like change it and make it super like easy, but I think that would be so boring for them. And it's also like they've been doing this show, like I've been on the show for 5 years and they've been doing it for like 4 years before that. So like there's also just like we're coming up on 500 episodes, like for a show that already prides itself on being niche, like adding 9 years of content, it's like we're only going to keep going down this rabbit hole.
Yeah, well, I think
I'm amazed that you guys I was just gonna say I'm amazed you're still doing the pro version.
Yeah.
On top
I know
of the regular
it's
one.
wild.
But
So much content.
yeah.
It's kind of like she said on that live show, though, where she was like, "Oh, I wondered if it was like you had to be there," and on some level, it almost is like you have to be there listening to it. You can't just describe the show to people and have them fully get it. You truly have to just listen to an episode or two or 15.
Yeah,
And,
Yeah, exactly.
and that's the only way to
yeah.
get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and finding that perfect episode is like
That's the art.
To, like,
That's
to
the
show
art,
someone
man.
that is that's the hard part of getting anyone into a podcast.
Yeah, the easiest way for me to do it is just say like, because I've seen like on Reddit 2 people say like the Joe Mandy episode's the perfect one to send, and I agree, like that's an amazing episode. But if like I have a friend that likes these type of TV shows and like we have an actor on it, I'll just send them that episode.
Sure.
Or like a musician or something. So I try to curate it whenever possible, but they have such like and even though it's pretty niche, I still think they have like a wide range of episodes that we can send to people.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Like because like we doing the bracket, we like got a lot of comments and thoughts about the whole
This
thing.
could have been a full 64 seed NCAA style bracket.
Yeah, I really for people watching, I'm sorry I threw it together a little last minute. I just come back from a vacation, and I knew I had to throw it out because it would take 15 days. So I threw it out the day I got back from vacation, and I probably could have done a few things a little better. And next year, we'll do another bracket.
Yeah, pro version coming at you.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
When we moved all of our stuff to Patreon, the people at Acast, because we didn't want it to all come out like just overflow everyone's feeds to be like one day, and Acast, who like works with Patreon, the publishing platform, they were like, we can import it so it like says the dates that those episodes were released. So we were like, oh, that's exactly what we want to do.
Yeah.
And they were like, all right, send us your stuff. And I sent them like at that time like 400 handbooks, like 200 pro versions, 200 flagrant ones, masterclass, and probably some other stuff. And they were like, Jesus Christ, this is like 1,000 episodes.
That's right.
It's gonna be like 2 years worth of like one show, and I was like, opened up the U-Haul and everything just poured out.
Yeah. Well, they brought it on themselves. By being accommodating.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys do have a lot on your Patreon.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for more of the F1s.
I know.
Oh, right.
It's the whenever the new season starts up, I'm sure they'll do some more.
Good.
It's a really fun show.
Yeah, my stepdad watches those races, and that helps me to understand a little bit.
There you go, bringing families together.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
I have a quick F1 story. I went to Vegas this weekend, and there was a Red Bull F1 car in one of the casinos, and next to it, completely unrelated, was a Valentine's Day sign that said "Celebrate You," and so people would stand in front of it and like do cute poses, and their friends would take photos. As we were walking by it, our group of people, a woman was taking a photo of her friend who like stuck her butt out and like turned around and smiled. And then so when we walked back later, some of my friends were like, all right, Kev, stick your butt out and like let's take a cute photo. But I thought they were talking about in front of the F1 car, and I was like, why would I stick my butt out at the I completely missed like that thing happening because I was just looking at the car.
There you go.
So they were like, stick your butt out and let's take a photo. And I was like, in front of the Red Bull car? Like, is that a thing the racers do? And they were like, oh, you were not paying attention at all to what was happening.
Wow.
And you did it, right? You took the picture
of course.
in front
Big
of the car.
Booty photo in front of the Red Bull car. Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
I had a question that I was going to jump in with. So you talked about how there was the 4 years prior to you jumping in. You've now been doing it for 5 years. Was there a moment where you were like, oh, I I get it. Like I know you talked about how that is with guests, but was there a moment
Yeah.
where you were like, oh, it's clicking for me. We're in the rhythm. Like I understand what the role of
Yeah.
like what engineer Kevin and all
It's
that
pretty
stuff
funny
is.
because
what is
I want to
engineer
say
Kevin?
like I got it pretty quickly, but as a listener, you'll probably be like, "You got it pretty quickly? Like you fooled us." Like it seems like you got your footing after like 2 years. But so part of my job was like, as you know, was taking photos of all the recordings. And
Right.
before Sean and Hayes would
Yeah,
include me
yeah.
on stuff, I would take photos of the show Rana and Beverly with Jessica Chaffin and Jamie Dembo, who like played actual characters. And before Sean and
Yeah.
Hayes would have me on, Jamie and Jess would immediately like berate me whenever I came in, and like
Yeah.
and their like accents are hysterical too, just like the like East Coast like characters that they're doing are
Yeah.
so funny.
Yeah.
And so when I went in studio with the boys and they started to berate me, it wasn't like I mean they definitely like took me on obviously in a much more like hands-on role than like Jamie and Jess
Yeah.
did.
More
Yep,
personal.
but I was kind of used to like I was aware enough that was like, okay, I work at a comedy network. If I go in to take photos, like there's a chance someone's just going to be like, look at this guy. And Jamie and Jessica were doing
Yeah,
it pretty
yeah.
regularly. Never
Yeah.
more than like 20 seconds, but like pretty regularly.
Yeah.
And then so with the boys, when they started doing it, I wasn't like scared, not scared, but like I wasn't like caught off guard. And then
Yeah.
I mean, it was like truly baffling because I just thought I was like just gonna go and take photos and leave, and then they were like adding on, adding on.
Yeah. Like, can I go yet? Or
Yeah. I was
and you're
like,
just
I
no,
have
no, no. You
I
need to
have the
sit down.
photos. Like I don't but they were super gracious to like let me, hang out with them
Yeah.
and like, saying like, all right, take a seat. We have to talk to you, blah, blah, blah. And like that was pretty wild. And then I
Yeah.
definitely enjoyed it enough that I lived at the time a mile from Earwolf, and they would record on Saturdays. And I used to be
Okay.
like, oh, well, someone should take photos for their show. And it was like, the engineer could have taken a photo. Like I didn't have to like go in every Saturday to
Right.
take photos,
Yeah.
but they were like, I was having so much fun. And sometimes I would like go in on a Saturday and then they just like wouldn't have me on at all, which was totally fine. And then I would just take the photo and then go home, whatever. Most people would like enjoy their weekend, but I was like, man, they're like having me part of the show. It's really fun hanging out with them and getting to know them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would go in on Saturdays and like they would have me on. And then that's kind of at a time when Earwolf started to have more clearly defined like producers. And they definitely like had it before. It was like Josh Richmond and Dana Wickens. And then I was the production coordinator for like a year, and then I became a producer. But at that time, we are kind of, figuring out like, okay, this is what the engineer does, this is what the producer does.
Yeah.
And then so it kind of just felt like a natural fit. Like I'm on the show now, like every other week, or just like chatting with you guys.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
if you guys need a producer, I'm actually like, I just got I don't it was never like this blunt. I think I'm sure like my boss at the time was like, hey, we're now like having the producers fill in the gaps for all these shows. Kevin can be your producer.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like a natural fit. And it's been super fun. And they're always open to as much shit as they give me. They're always open to like hearing ideas and stuff and collaborating on that. So but to answer your question 7 minutes later, it was both like immediately and over the course of like 3 years. I felt like I knew my role. I knew like the dynamic between me and the boys and me and the guests and me and the engineers. Like, I feel like I figured that out pretty quickly. And then it was like, probably like 2 years of like finding my footing and like making sure like I never, I definitely had times where I like audibly like kind of, like with my words, not like with my feet, like trip into an episode
Yeah.
where I'm like, I don't really like listening back to episodes because like it's very cringy to me to be like, why did I
Yeah.
think me contributing that was going to like help the show? So when the
especially
boys
on
listen
Hollywood
back,
Handbook.
exactly, and then so like when the
You know,
boys
like-
listen back to stuff, they're like, oh, this was so funny, that was so funny. I'm just like, oh man, that was like, to me, it's like the memory was. I don't want to actually listen back because I'm sure 40 minutes in, I say something that's like just so stupid that I don't really want to like relive. But yeah, it took a while.
Sometimes those tiny Chef Kevin chime-ins though are the best.
Thank you.
Like,
yeah, I appreciate it.
like John Hodgman, I forget the exact context, but like I just remember kind of the what was happening in the room. Like he was turning to you kind of like as the adult in the room, I think, and then you just said some weird half-cocked thing, and he was like,
yeah,
you know, like it was just I love the tiny little chimes from.
It's a
from
lot
you.
of fun, and I like just like saying, and someone commented recently and it really made me laugh, and my girlfriend was like, I'm surprised you like find that funny, but it's a comment that like probably on the wrong day it would have annoyed me, but I knew like what they meant by it. They said, I love Kevin's transition from pervert to idiot.
That probably feels good for you, honestly. That you're probably like, I'd rather.
Yeah, honestly,
Yeah, right.
anything's a win.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it's fun. It's fun being like weird and silly with the boys, and getting experimental with like premises and stuff. So it's fun. It's so
you guys
creative.
do a lot of like that's the thing. Like it's something that I think is, I don't know, maybe starting to go away more, but like the weekly podcast, like a lot of the people that I know that are making them these days are doing it like, you know, either in seasons or every other week or something. I'm considering doing every other week, but you know, the stuff that came from Earwolf and Hollywood Handbook and all that stuff, like I don't know what I'd do if there was a week that didn't come out, you know?
Yeah, it is
like,
wild that it's like between that, the flagrant ones, and the pro version, that there's like 3 days a week.
Yeah.
That was kind of the big selling point, but I'm sure it
Yeah.
was like overwhelming, like analysis paralysis, because we had Carl's show on Mondays and Fridays. So we had shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I was like, is this, which was, you know, was and is fun, is like, it's like a mini network of shows. But
definitely.
I think I like the weekly format. It's good for us. I work on big grande shows. They do seasonal, and like that's good for them. And it's just kind of like finding what's the best like release schedule with like this host schedule, and then like with the show too. So like I think if we add any stuff in the future, it would be like a 8-episode experimental thing, or like, you know, like this live show, like trying to do, you know, like, you know, another like monthly live show, like enough that it's like we can try something new and creative, but it not feel like overbearing on the hosts, who are like also super busy guys. So
and only getting busier all the time, it seems. But I was gonna say, you guys want to get on to closing out this bracket?
Absolutely.
I know that
bad news, buddy. It's currently
what's
tied.
going on?
Wow,
oh, it's tied. Oh no. Well, you know what? I got one thing to get through right now.
Yes, we also we have
get
the,
to the
our other little thing that we could do as well.
in the
chamber.
Wow. It's been like 50-50 the entire freaking time. Like this is definitely the most neck and neck of any of the voting periods at all. But I just wanted to go through, and while I've been doing this, I've been collecting a few comments and thoughts about the bracket, about all their people's favorite episodes. So I just wanted to read through a few of these. This is from Kevin Ela, and to my first post for the bracket, he just said no thanks. So he chose not to participate, but appreciate the comment.
I just want to say, I love that you did this. It's been so fun to watch. We recorded the legacy episode thing like the day you announced this. Like literally we recorded it, and then an hour later I saw you did the bracket, and I was like, fuck, that would have been so like funny to we could have
Yeah.
done a whole like the timing was like 1 hour off, but it's been
Yeah.
really fun to
Yeah.
watch and like seeing what people are choosing and like the engagement for it has
Yeah.
been super fun. So on behalf of the boys
Yeah.
and I, thanks for doing this, man. It's been super fun.
Dude, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been really enjoying like communicating with the Scoop Troop in a way I never have, you know. Yeah, I'm starting to understand like some of the early what is it, listener response episodes. You know what I mean? Like for instance, this thing from Brett Farts
Great.
is from I think this was from Reddit. That sounds like a Reddit username. He says, "I don't think you're a good person." Here we got a couple of weeks into the bracket. Unfortunately, we had a shutout of both Kulop, then Julie and Ao very closely after one another. And Sarah J. Nelson says, "The women have all been shut out. Great work, team."
Oh no.
Yeah, and that's one thing is like, I definitely like front loaded the bracket because like Triumph at Comic-Con and Mass Engineer went up head to head real early. So, speaking of which, here's one from Smackola. Reseed after the first round. The current bracket is shit. And this is my personal favorite, though. This is from Jay Rhodes. He says, "If Big Apple Bible doesn't win, I'll kill myself on live television."
wow.
So
Good.
that's not a threat or anything. I apologize if I'm making this very serious right now. But Jay Rhodes, please don't.
Thanks, Jay.
I know that
Love you,
there's
Jay.
still a chance it's going to win. Jay.
It's tied up still.
It's still tied up. So if you can get someone to put in one more,
Yeah, Jay,
one
get
more
out
vote,
there. Get
you
out
might
the
be able to
vote.
cinch it.
Yeah.
Get
Stay
out
in
the
line,
vote.
folks. That rocks.
And here's and then an honorable mention to everyone that when I first started posting about this, I received maybe 10, 15 variations of "gun to my head."
Pull the trigger.
Pull the
So-
trigger.
Yeah.
You gotta.
Yeah,
You gotta.
So that was fun. And then Mr. Gale and Lexi, I'm going to give a particular shout out to because they're the other moderators on the
Hell yeah.
Discord who are part of the reason that I put this thing together. And Mr. Gale says, "Are you actually making Kevin watch the stream again 24 within 24
I'm gonna
hours?"
watch it a third time in
It's like-
about
yeah.
5 hours when I edit the episode. So I'm gonna get 3 in a day.
Wow.
Yeah, well, you should know exactly where
Yep.
everything is at this
I think I can
point.
do it with my eyes closed at this
Just
point.
like that
Yeah,
lady
yeah,
navigated to the stage.
Yep. Just like Gabby.
Yeah.
I'm going to. I
Impressive.
love how much representation PFT has on this too. It's very funny. That Paul's all over it.
Yeah. I didn't do that. Wasn't even like intentional, but a lot of people's favorites wind up being Paul's.
Maybe I could do something to kind of stall the voting process, and I could share.
It's still tied
I can
up.
Share any behind the scenes on some of these episodes that I can think of.
Yeah. There we go.
Mass Engineer, the big reveal on that obviously is Engineer Cody is kind of like a surprise at the end, and Sean says in the middle, "Wouldn't that be crazy if Cody was here?" because he no longer worked there at the time. A lot of people give me credit, and I try to always like respond that it was actually Engineer Sam that texted Cody maybe that day, if not the night before, and was like, "Hey, we're doing this thing. It'd be funny if you came."
Wow.
And so Sam made that happen where he got Cody to be involved kind of at the last second and do the big reveal. So that episode was super fun. Mass Guest and Mass Engineer were both so fun to do. Shout out to Engineer Devin who like did all the voice decoder stuff, and like we literally put up sound panels as a barrier between the studio and the engineer booth so that like they couldn't see what was happening. Like couldn't see the guest who was recording.
Oh
like,
yeah,
we were
because
trying to blind
normally
it.
there would be the
Yeah,
window.
but you could just see whoever's in there. So not only did we
I'd always wonder
changed
about
their
that. listening to
voices,
the
but we
episode.
literally put up barriers so they couldn't see who was coming in and out. Mass Guest was a lot of fun too for that, where it was like Chaffin, Paul, Tawny, and Carl and stuff were like all coming in, and I asked them not to come early because I didn't want Sean and Hayes and Demi to see them. So I asked them to like come. They came like in 10-minute intervals, and then I was like, if we were recording at 12, I was like, come at like 12:10.
Right.
Because I don't want the boys to see you, and that worked out.
Oh, why is Paul here?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or they knew we were doing the surprise thing, so they'd be like, okay, Paul's one of the guests.
There you go.
And so that kind of worked out great. Triumph at Comic-Con, it was one of the most insane days of my career. That show bombed so hard. One of my friends, Jeff, my friend Jeff, who still works at Earwolf, he's like a marketing guy there. He came to the show and was trying to be like polite and was like, "Hey, that was pretty good." And I'm like I grew up as like a Midwest. I had a Catholic Midwest upbringing, so it's just in my DNA to say like everything's going great, right? and that was like a time where like Jeff said like that was a really good show, and even I said no, it wasn't. That was really bad. And that's when I knew, like, wow, even my like lying optimism couldn't like handle that. So that was wild. And then on the train back, Sean and Hayes were like, we got to record like a commentary over it, pretending like that was the greatest thing we ever did.
So they knew right away that was the plan.
Yeah. Well, like we were discussing it like smart. Not right after the show, but like as we were walking back to like the train, we were like, what do we do? And also I think Patton Oswalt was like the week before, who was like one of the biggest guests we've had. Right. And so we were like, we have all this momentum. You have
to capture that.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
All this momentum that we're just going to lose from like the worst live show we've ever done. And then the boys were like, let's do commentary over it and pretend like it's incredible. And so we listened to the whole thing top to bottom and just talked over it. And then this was before I was editing it. So Hayes like went home and like chopped it together. And then which is why, not that it matters, but then when we did like the 400th episode, maybe 300, we did a
you did the script for it, right?
We did like another listen along.
Right. 300 was you were supposed to get the clips. Sean getting pissed off.
Sean got pissed, but I was like, well, for the last one, we listened to it from top to bottom. So between those two times, I guess it was said without being said that we were going to like, which makes sense, but it was like never explicitly said, like, let's stop doing things from top to bottom and just get clips to be like way more efficient. So then I just hit play and they're like, what are you doing?
Oh man.
And I was like, the same thing we did for the Triumph of Comic-Con episode. And then so I was just profusively, like I was sweating my ass off trying to like scroll through. That was a horrible day. I'm very proud that
you can hear a little bit of the stress.
You can hear my throat
scrubbing
That's
through.
Also why I don't like really listening back, is because like I had I don't really like have like I don't let the show like emotionally affect me the way it used to, where like something like that would happen. That's smart. I'd be like, I'm such a bad employee. Where now, and maybe I should go that way a little bit, but now I'm just like, whatever, it was a weird recording, but I can edit it, I can clean it up, I can do my best to clean it up. Like with that, I was like, I fucked up the episode, and then it's like, no, you didn't. No one told you.
No, it's great.
Do anything.
It's so funny.
That's a good one.
Heather Ann Campbell's like obviously the highlight was, and I'm so glad Devin was still recording, because I'm pretty quick on the trigger to like stop recording. I try to like I always try to make it very clear to everyone, like, I'm starting recording now, and then I'm stopping recording now. Like you can hear it on Zoom, like not on if you're on a Zoom that's being recorded, it says like recording in progress, and then it says recording stopped. And so I try to be like, I always say like, all right, I'm going to start recording, and then like you physically hear it say like no longer recording.
Devin just left
Yeah.
it going for like 5 more seconds. This was in studio at Earwolf, and that's when Heather was like, that was like being in a car accident. Like that was being like whiplash in a car accident. And I'm so glad he was engineering, because I would have lost. I mean, I guess like a backup recording
Yeah.
could have got it, but
Yeah.
the fact that he left like 5 more seconds was like one of the highlights of the episode.
Yeah.
That's
He's
great.
so funny too.
By the way, we do have a winner
my
for
gosh.
the bracket.
Wow.
We do have a winner. Drum roll, please. Jay Rhodes, you will not have to kill yourself on live television.
Hooray!
Big Apple Bible has won the Hollywood
Incredible.
Handbook bracket
He did
for
that for me.
2023. He did that. Oh my
amazing.
God! Because yeah, I'm glad that this one, so we could say that. Because otherwise, I was gonna do the whole like, you can't do this to me,
Walk away.
you know, over and over
Yeah.
again and then just shut off the stream.
Yep,
You know what I
yep.
mean?
Yeah.
So this is more
but
fun.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
yeah, but Big Apple Bible, that's definitely mine. That's definitely the one I
That
voted
was my
for.
vote
Like,
as well.
I am-
It's a true classic.
like I re-listened to both of them yesterday. The Masked Engineer is an amazing piece of podcasting. Just I think it's like one of the best just in podcasts in general, but Big Apple Bible is the quintessential Hollywood Handbook episode
Yeah.
for me. So
Mhm.
I'm glad that it won. Sorry, engineer heads, math engineer heads. I know that was like probably that's probably the most like talked about and like
It's got a
hyped
big
up
twist.
episode,
Got a
I
big
think.
twist, you know.
Like it is a really good
for
episode.
sure, for sure.
You know, yeah. So, but I don't think there's any losers here because we all got to listen to
That's right.
a lot of Hollywood Handbook in the last couple
That's
of
right.
weeks.
I think I told you guys
And,
this off mic. I don't know if I ever said this on mic, but the PFT birthday
Yeah.
episode, the behind the scenes of that was I typed in on Cameo like birthday, and then would go through every single cameo I could find until I would find ones that were people started with like "Hi Paul," and so it took like hours of, and I think I eventually found some on YouTube too, where I typed in like cameo "Happy Birthday Paul"
Smart.
and found, or like happy, then or just be like cameo Paul.
Yeah.
Some of them were just people named, like the actor named Paul, but some of them were like happy
Yeah.
anniversary, or like sorry that like
Some of them were Paul the Seth Rogen and alien.
Yep. So
yeah.
that one was like really funny behind the scenes to me, because it was just like a lot of researching, just finding any like Brett Favre saying like congratulations, Paul, you're a wonderful father, and like it's so crazy that your kids are going to college, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
Sean and Hayes just being like, I didn't know you had kids in college, like that's
Yeah.
crazy. So
Brett
that was
Favre
a lot.
probably stole their volleyball money or whatever.
Yep. So yeah, that one was a lot of fun. And then Sinbad was our
Yeah.
first COVID episode. Like that was we recorded it the
one-
day it got announced Tom Hanks had COVID, and his assistant called me and was like, so Tom Hanks has COVID apparently, so Sinbad's not going to come in, but he can still
He was
call.
right.
So Brett and
Yeah.
I are in studio, and Sean Hayes and Sinbad all call in from their homes, and that was a wild one. So it kind of always cracks me up, because people are like, I hate the Zoom episodes. It's like one of our best episodes, two of our best episodes.
Yeah.
Sinbad, like that studio episode, in quote unquote studio episode, was amazing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was.
And that was super funny. And then there's no way we would have got Tony Hawk on the show if he was not able to record from his home office.
Yeah.
So those were
Yeah.
both highlights for me.
I could not believe when I saw Tony Hawk pop up in my feed. I was like,
I know,
what?
it was insane. And then he was promoting his masterclass like a couple months later, and I emailed the publicist like, we actually have a whole show about masterclass, blah blah blah. Any chance he would do the show again? And they were like, no, Tony Hawk just did your podcast. Like, why do you think he would come back like a month later?
We're not best friends now.
Yeah. Hey Tom, what's up, man?
Yeah.
Was just
Once
playing
every
Thug
3
2
years,
again and was
please.
thinking
Yeah.
of you, man.
Yeah. But that was wild.
Oh man, Yeah. Oh my God. Well, thank you so much for being Chef Kevin and fucking shepherding in the podcast through like its glory days and even out of the fucking network. I mean, you've done a lot for this podcast, and we all really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And
It's super fun to
yeah,
work on, and you guys are awesome. And yeah, I love hanging out with the boys and recording fun stuff. And I think
Yeah.
we got a lot of, without giving anything away, a lot of cool stuff planned for the future too. So
Nice.
pretty excited about
I'm excited.
this year specifically is going to be a lot of cool stuff. So stay tuned, everyone.
You got to go over to the flagrant ones if you want that stuff. And but pitch in a little more and get that video tier, huh? You see Hayes' hair.
That's
the
right.
Haver himself.
That's right.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. We really appreciate all of your endless questions. And we will, well, I guess, no, I was about to say, we'll see you next week. No.
This is a new show
we'll
now.
see you.
We're watching
Yeah,
this
is a
video
show now.
every week.
Every week we're going to watch the same video
Over and over again.
and then comment on it, ask the same questions. We'll read the same
That's right.
script. But yeah, thanks everyone for doing the watch or coming with us for the watch along and watching this with
Yeah,
us.
thanks, gang.
And yeah, we'll see you at the next break.